Hi everyone, it's Mel here. Welcome back to the channel Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. I feel like it has been far too long since we sat down and had a chat, and today we're going to talk about the two lovely people you can see behind me, potentially guide dogs. My current guide dog Penny and my retired guide dog Darcy. And we're going to talk about some things that you may not necessarily know about guide dogs. So let's get started. So for those of you who are not aware, guide dogs or dog guides are generally Labradors in Australia, but they are other breeds in other countries. And they are dogs trained to support people who are blind or have low vision to independently navigate their community. Guide dogs or dog guides assist people who are blind or have low vision to find things such as shops, stairs, road crossings, entries and exits from public transport, and also just to safely walk along a footpath without bumping into any obstacles or objects in the way. You don't have to pass a formal test to become a dog guide handler, but you do have to have a considerable lack of vision. You have to be, in most cases, legally blind, which in Australia is you have to be 10% of vision or less, and you also have to be able to safely and independently orientate and be mobile. So that means that when you apply for a dog guide, especially through the school that I use, Guide Dogs Victoria, you need to have 3 routes that you know how to do. You also need to be able to prove that you are able to handle a dog and that you are able to problem solve to an extent if you get lost, and a few other things like that. So that's a basic overview about guide dogs. So let's talk about 5 things that you may not necessarily know about guide dogs. And the first thing is that guide dogs are not working all the time. And blind and vision impaired people are able to independently navigate around their homes and other environments without their dogs. So as you can see behind me right now, my 2 dogs, Darcy and Penny or Penelope, are both fast asleep on my bed. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but Darcy is even snoring. So they are not on duty when I am at home. As soon as I return from going for a walk with my current guide, Penelope, I remove her harness and her leash, and I change her collar over to this beautiful pink collar with diamantes on it that she's wearing at the moment, and she is allowed to go and do whatever she wants. My 2 dogs both like to play with toys. This is slightly disgusting. This is Penny's favorite toy. It is a pig looking thing with a superhero cape on it, and it squeaks like this. And he is called Jimmy, and he is Penny's absolute favorite toy. So when Penny is at home, she loves playing with Jimmy. She chases him. She brings him to me for me to throw him for her. She loves making him make noise, and it is one of her main things that she loves doing. Something else that guide dogs like to do is they like to chew on bones. This one here is a rubber bone, but my dogs also have a hard kind of a plastic, I think it is, material called a nyla bone, which they can chew, and as they chew on it, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's really good for their teeth. So they are able to have the harness off and to relax and enjoy playing with their toys when we're at home. Now, another part to that is my number 2 thing, which is guide dogs don't have to go with their owners everywhere. So me, for example, I love going to the football. Sadly, the Australian rules football was not having many crowds last year. This year, the season, which starts at the end of March, may be a little different, and we may have crowds at the football. But I personally prefer not to take my guide dog to events such as the football. You can, but the reason why I don't is because it is very, very noisy. The floor is concrete and it's cold, and it's just easier because I have to go with a sighted person anyway. It's just easier to leave the dog at home. So a lot of guide dog owners will have certain events where they don't take their dog. It could be a concert, could even be a friend's place who either is allergic to dogs or isn't comfortable having the dog in their home. So when a guide dog is not accompanying its handler, there might be several different ways that the dog is managed at home. Some people who have parents or partners or even children living at home with them may leave the dog in the care of their family members. Some people, like myself, may choose to leave the dog in the backyard with food and water and a bed and shelter, which is what I do with my retired guide dog sometimes. And other people may choose to leave their guide dog in a crate or tied up somewhere on a bed inside. It really depends on the handler and the guide dog school as to what is suggested you do in those situations. But not every blind person takes a guide dog everywhere that they go. And when we don't have our dogs with us, we revert back to using the white cane, and we also use a human guide sometimes as well, which is what I do. So number 3 is guide dogs are always kept on a very, very strict toileting and feeding routine. You guys might think that because guide dogs are cute and adorable Labradors, you can just feed them whatever they want. And those Labrador eyes looking at you when they want food can get very, very persuasive. However, guide dogs are on a very strict food intake routine, and they are also on a very strict relieving pattern. My 2 dogs, I know exactly when they need to go to the toilet, and they all have signs as well. You can tell when guide dogs need to go to the toilet. Penelope, for example, she tends to go to the door when she needs to go to the toilet and pant a little bit. Darcy just pants and hangs around me. It really depends on the dog what their signs are. They might start whining. You can tell. And you also know when they need to go to the toilet by their routine, which is something that they spend a lot of time in your training assisting you to establish. And their food routine is also very important. My 2 dogs are both on 2 meals a day, one in the morning and one in the evening, and I measure how much food they get, and I also make sure that I weigh them once a month or so, and then according to their last weight measure, I then figure out whether I need to feed them a little bit more or a little bit less in their evenings. Now, this does not mean that guide dogs are not allowed to have treats. My dogs both get treats quite regularly. Guide dogs love eating things like apples and carrots. They also like having different kinds of dog treats like liver treats and denture chews and that sort of thing. I personally would recommend that if you do give your dog something new to try, you make sure you do it on a day that you're not going anywhere, either that day or the day after, just in case your dog does have a reaction. And also, when you're starting to give your dogs treats for the first time, make sure you give them their treats in their food bowl so that they don't pick up bad habits like begging at the table. The fourth thing that you may not necessarily know about guide dogs is that not every handler who has a guide dog is totally blind. As I said before, people who have 10% or less vision are able to apply for a guide dog, and less than 10% of the blindness population is actually completely blind. A lot of people who are dog guide handlers will have a little bit of residual vision. They may only be able to see light and dark, but they also may be able to see a little bit in front of them and different surfaces and things like that. The dog still has the exact same function for people like this. Definitely, I know for a fact that people with albinism, for example, have a lot more vision in darker circumstances than those in lighter circumstances. So people who have albinism may appear to have a lot of vision by the way that they interact with their technology, for example, but that is because they know how to interact with their technology in a very controlled lighting circumstance. Whereas people who have guide dogs with albinism, when they get out, they probably a very different visual situation and they struggle to see quite a lot. So people who have guide dogs have really varying levels of vision. They do teach you when you are using. So then the final thing, and number 5 thing that you possibly would not have known about guide dogs, is that all guide dogs don't have a GPS in their brains. A lot of people assume that it is actually the guide dog who knows the way from home to the supermarket or from your office to your favorite coffee shop. And yes, they do get to remember the route after a while of doing the same thing day after day. But you can't just say to the dog, take me to my favorite coffee shop, and they are going to do it. You need to know the route from the shop to your workplace and back. You need to know the route from home to the supermarket. The dog is there to listen to the instructions that you give it and to obey those instructions whilst keeping you safe. So your guide dog will listen to you if you ask it to turn left or turn right or go straight ahead when you get to a road crossing. And when you do get close to the targeted destination, such as the coffee shop near your work, then it will remember that that is where it is and it will find the coffee shop. But they don't pick it up straight away. You have to repeat routes several times before your dog gets it. Some dogs, like my Penelope, are very intelligent and she remembers destinations 2 or 3 times after doing it. Other dogs may require a little bit more repetition. But the other thing about it is that your orientation is one of the important things, and if you are well oriented to your location and destination, then that will also help your dog. So I hope that this has helped. I hope this has been interesting, finding out 5 facts you possibly didn't know about guide dogs. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below of what information you would like to know about guide dogs next. And in the meantime, we will see you in our next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.